Welcome to Defining Dad Bod, where we work to untangle the messy knots of the health and fitness industry as if your children's lives depended on it. Because they do. This is where we decide to make our bodies stand for something bigger than ourselves. This is where we find practical wisdom to live by, one powerful conversation at a time. May the words spoken here inspire you to keep moving forward no matter where you are. Who knows who you could be if you could become 1% better every single day.
We can do the show thanks to the support of listeners just like you. For more information how you can become part of the inner circle, go to findingdadbod.com/inner circle.
What's up, guys? This is Alex VanHouten with Defining Dad Bod. I hope you're doing super well. Today's show is an awesome show. We're going to be talking about the hero's journey. No, this isn't literature class, but the hero's journey, as articulated by people like Carl Jung and Joseph Campbell, is the powerful part of a meaningful and fulfilling fitness journey. Whether you're new to health and fitness, or if you've been doing this for a decade or more, it's important to keep the spark alive in your workouts. There are times when we just have to go through the motions, put in the work, and maintain rather than backslide. But there are other times where if we don't voluntarily pit ourselves against something difficult and enter some uncharted territory, then what we're doing with our health and fitness pursuits begins to feel hollow. And if you don't want to be there, that's a scary place to be. Before we dive into this awesome discussion, here's a review from one of our listeners and a client of mine that popped up on iTunes this week. Coach Alex doesn't just coach exercises for his clients. He coaches different areas of health and fitness and what they need. He coaches metabolic flexibility and metabolic efficiency as well. He helps you increase your metabolism so that you don't just improve your body composition, but you also get stronger and enjoy your nutrition as well. He'll help you build a long-term goal and maintain optimal health and fitness as you approach it. He's also very willing to take time to talk through my concerns. He's my coach now, and he'll continue to be my coach throughout my health and fitness journey. Thank you, Coach Alex, for all of your support and the amazing workouts. I'm not going to lie, reviews like that make my week. And while I know not everybody who listens to the podcast is a virtual coaching client, I hope that you find the same level of value here at the Defining Dad Bod podcast. Our goal is to equip you to pursue a legacy of health and fitness for yourself, your kids, and your community. And while we do our best around here to maintain a highly scientific and highly compassionate approach that's practical for people, we can't do the hard work of self-betterment for you. So hats off to you who are committed, not only now, but in the future, to becoming 1% better every single day. And if you need some help with that, don't forget to check out our 1-week trial at definingdadbod.com/shop/trial week. The link's in the description below, and you'll find we treat our trial clients with the same 5-star experience that we treat our long-term clients who have been working with us for a year or more. It would be an honor to be in your corner and to support you in your goals in 2020. That's definingdadbod.com/shop/trial week. Now it's time to build on last week's conversation on epigenetics to talk about what the hero's journey has to do with long-term health and fitness. Have you ever heard of the hero's journey? The hero's journey is a template for a story of a hero. Even if you've never heard of it, I know that you've enjoyed a hero's journey in one form or fashion, particularly in the movies. If you enjoyed The Matrix, I did. That's one of my favorite movies, by the way. Or The Lord of the Rings, or Star Wars, or any of the Marvel movies or the entire Marvel canon combined, then you know about the hero's journey. The myth pattern was actually popularized by Joseph Campbell. And back in 1949, he tried to describe what the hero's journey is all about. Basically, a person living their everyday life receives a call to adventure. They accept the call to adventure, sometimes willingly, sometimes unwillingly, and are thrown into the unknown world. They face challenges and temptations. They might have a helper or a mentor along the way, but eventually they reach the bottom, the abyss, the valley of the shadow of death. But because it's the hero's journey, they prevail. And by overcoming their challenges, they are transformed, and they bring that powerful, redeemed version of themselves back to the world that they know, back to their friends and their family, back to their hometown, and the new person they are renews them and their world all around them. Do you feel like you're in English class? Don't worry, this has everything to do with long-term health and fitness. And here in part 5 of TRUFIT 2020, exploring how to achieve long-term health and fitness this year, I want to talk to you today about facing challenges in your health and fitness journey on purpose and how you can keep your health and fitness pursuits from becoming hollow this year by embarking on the hero's journey. As many things that I work to articulate in this show, I have not heard this anywhere else, which makes it worth talking about. So here we go. Now, I started this conversation talking about the hero's journey. I referenced somebody like Frodo from Lord of the Rings, who starts out in the Shire, the green, rolling hill country, where everything's peaceful and hobbits live out their furry-toed lives, drinking brandy and gossiping. Frodo is called out into his adventure by coming into contact with and possession of his uncle's ring. Turns out to be a pretty important ring, and it thrusts him into the adventure of the unknown. He travels to far-off lands, faces orcs and goblins, and almost dies several times on his journey to destroy the Dark Ring and bring hope and peace back to Middle-earth. Then, after accomplishing his mission, a marvelous 1,400-page read by J.R.R. Tolkien if you like that sort of thing, he comes back to the Shire a conquering hero. And because of his actions, his hometown is actually protected and restored, and I imagine the local economy is much better off because of all the gold he brought with him. Quick editorial note. In the actual Lord of the Rings trilogy, Frodo comes back from his adventure to find that the Shire has been overtaken and many of his friends captured, and he and his stalwart hobbit companions have to put their newfound fighting skills to good use to liberate and restore order to the Shire. Thank you to my sound editor, who happens to be even more of a Lord of the Rings nerd than I am. High five, you rock. Thanks for keeping me on the straight and narrow. Well, what does this have to do with long-term health and fitness? Up until this point in this series, I have spent a lot of time talking about things that would help both veterans in health and fitness and those just starting out on their fitness journey. In part 1 of this series, I talked about identifying your health and fitness heaven. In part 2, we talked about the phases of training and how to make those fit into the seasons of your life. In part 3, we covered the difference between short-term and long-term fat loss interventions. And in part 4, we talked about unlocking parts of yourself and your genetic code in order to make the most out of the hand you've been dealt. But this particular conversation is aimed at you who are not new to the health and fitness world. In fact, you've probably been pursuing your own goals, or at least maintaining and fighting the clock, for years. It's very possible that when you go to the gym, you're doing the same workouts you've always done and going through the motions. It's also possible that you've mastered several things in the past several years that you never thought possible, and people come to you for advice regularly, and you're kind of known as the crazy fitness person in your world. You do the work, you're happy to do it, you know it's good for you, but every once in a while, you wish you could have the spark that you used to have when you approach your workouts. The idea of running 10 miles on your long run is not a revelatory thing. Yeah, it's nice, you get some time to yourself. You get to listen to your music, you know you're keeping your cardiovascular system conditioned and your body really good at burning fat as a fuel source, but you've been there, done that, got that t-shirt so many times that it's not difficult to be motivated to do it, but it's definitely not inspiring. I'm talking to you today, and what I want you to know is that you can have your spark back, but it's not going to be easy. You see, one of the things that I love about health and fitness is that setting and pursuing physical goals and achieving them is its own hero's journey for any individual who wants to give it a shot. Now, you won't be finding the ring of power and battling some dark lord necessarily, but in your health and fitness journey, when you can identify a challenge that is in the unknown territory that you've never explored, and you can take that on upon yourself and go face it, then you find a continual process of renewal for yourself and then powerfully for your community. Don't believe me? Well, here's a few examples. When I was 18 years old, I had an item on my bucket list. It was to run a marathon. I have no idea why I wanted to run a marathon, to be honest. I enjoyed running, but up until that point in my life, I'd never run more than 4 miles at a time. But I was going to school at Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee, and every year they had the Music City Marathon. A friend of mine had run in it with his dad, and he described the event as life-changing. He said, "Alex, you wouldn't believe it. They completely block off the entire city, and every mile they're set up a different stage for a concert of some band, and thousands and thousands and thousands of people show up to run this 26 miles. You're running, and you look forward, and there are people as far as your eye can see on the road, and you look behind you, and there are people as far as your eye can see on the road behind you. There are people in wheelchairs. There are people hobbling with a cane. There are people from Kenya who are going to run way faster than you're ever going to run, and it's just amazing." And so, well, I was going to school, and I enjoyed running. Why not give a marathon a shot? If not just to say I'd done it, but also to give me something worth training for. I had no idea what I'd undertaken. I also had no idea how to train for a marathon. And this was before everybody and their mom had some sort of Instagram handle that you could just go search, and before Livestrong started their Couch to 5K and Couch to Marathon programs. So I did what any naive youth would do. Every Sunday, I went out and I ran as far as I possibly could. And then during the week, I did some shorter runs. I got to 6 miles, I got to 10 miles, I got to 15 miles, and then one time I sprained my ankle on a 15-mile run really far away from school, and then I had to hobble for miles so I could get to a phone to call one of my friends to come get me. Hashtag life before cell phones. It was a wild experience. I got to know Nashville, Tennessee very well because I was running all over the town. I got disciplined with my schedule because I had studies, I had work, I had friends, and I needed to make sure that I got my runs in. I also have never eaten that much in my life. It became kind of a running joke between me and my friends when I'd go to breakfast with them and eat an entire dozen of scrambled eggs with bacon and syrup in between 2 Belgian waffles, and I would call that a normal breakfast sandwich for me. I had a lot of time to think out there and plot and plan my course. There are many times I had to face whether or not I wanted to give up on a certain hill or not, but kept trudging forward anyway. I faced a whole bunch of minor challenges also that I'm sure you're not interested in hearing, so I'll skip to race day. I'll never forget, on mile 22 of the marathon, I hit what many people would call the wall. That's where all of the glycogen in your muscles is completely depleted. So the muscle tissue has nothing really to run on, and the muscles start seizing up. I'd never felt anything like that before. It's excruciatingly painful, and since my goal was to not stop running, every single step was the most painful thing I'd ever felt ever. I remember thinking that whole time, I'm not going to make it. There's no way I'm going to make it. There's only 4 miles left and I can barely make the next 100 feet. And right about that time, a woman who appeared to be about in her 80s trotted by me. She wasn't having an easy time of it, but she certainly wasn't giving up. And if she could do it, well then there's gotta be something more deep down inside that a person can tap into to keep going. I found that will in myself on that hill. I also found that if you changed your stride just a bit, you could pull against the ground and run with your glutes and hamstrings, rather than pound against the ground and run with your quads. Pain's a great teacher, and I learned the technique within a half a mile, and so I was able to finish the race without stopping. My friend was waiting for me at the finish line when I got there, and he gave me a big hug, and then he helped me get back to the car because I couldn't even walk over curbs without crumpling. Honestly, I've never slept so good in my whole life. In my hero's journey, I went from the known, my studies, my friends, my normal workout routine, and the 4 miles I was comfortable with, to the unknown, the training to get there, the hills and the courses, the eating, and even overcoming injuries along the way, before I found the abyss, for me, mile 22 in the Music City Marathon. I found something in myself in that abyss, and I emerged from the race transformed. Since then, I've helped so many clients find the joy in running. I've helped them explore their neighborhoods. I've helped them plan their routes intelligently. I've helped them go from not running at all to being able to run their own marathon. And in that, my hero's journey for marathons is complete, having received a gift in myself that I was able to give to the world around me. And even now, my rambunctious 4-year-old loves to run. About the only place the kid doesn't run is to his bed when it's nap time. It's funny to watch him try to consciously walk slowly instead of sprinting to his room when I say, "Gabriel, it's nap time. Are you ready, bud?" If you have kids, you know what I'm talking about. I notice this hero's journey in my clients when they first start a health and fitness program. For many of them, the entire process is the hero's journey. They're in their known little worlds that have led them to a place to be unhappy with their health and fitness. And so I take them into the world of the unknown through exercise, nutrition, and lifestyle change, and they drop fat, they gain muscle, they find skills that they didn't know that they were good at, and though they face many opportunities to give up and stop in the middle of the journey, that would be the abyss, if they see it through, they transform, and they bring the gifts that they received on their journey back to their community, and their friends start asking, "Hey, where'd you get those arms? Hey, what do you eat for dinner every day? Hey, what are some healthy snack items that I should be incorporating into my day because obviously you've got something good going for you?" But where things get tough for new clients on a fitness journey is around months 6 to 8. The hero's journey of the initial changes for health and fitness are over. And the question is, what now? It's the same problem that I see in clients who have pursued their health and fitness journeys for 5, 8, maybe even 10 years. What now? What's the new challenge? What's the new unknown territory that's going to help me find something in myself that's going to bring the spark, the light, back into my hollow fitness journey? It's a very challenging question, and outside of giving you some ideas and talking to you about how I've dealt with that in the past and how I've helped clients deal with that, I don't know that I can answer it for you. In fact, there are some who would say that once you've reached a certain level of health and fitness, that your goal, your duty, is to just maintain that. Which is very hard, by the way. The Red Queen in Alice in Wonderland says at one point, "In my kingdom, you have to run as hard as you possibly can, just to stay in one place." And since we're all fighting the clock and there are many obstacles around us, to maintain good health and fitness, good energy, good body composition, good strength, less pain, sometimes it does feel like that the hardest you can possibly work is to just maintain. I just went through that with the sleep deprivation associated with a new baby being brought into the world. But now he's 10 months old, and we're getting some good sleep. And I'm not saying everything's easy around us, but I feel some bandwidth starting to open up, and just maintaining my own personal health and fitness is not enough. I'm ready for another hero's journey. And so today, in part 5 of long-term health and fitness, I'll ask you, are you ready for another hero's journey? Maybe you're not. Maybe you're struggling right now just to keep 3 to 4, maybe even 5 days a week of exercise under your belt. Maybe the nutrition changes that you've already made in your life are plenty at the moment, and you're just trying to make them stick. Maybe you're sleep deprived, or you got other events coming up in life that don't need you to add some other kind of physical fitness journey on top of it. Hey, fair enough. You can come back to this episode when you're ready. But if you are ready for a hero's journey, if you feel like your workouts are hollow, and you're going through the motions, and you want to bring the light back, it's time to start looking for a challenge. And one of the wonderful things about physical fitness and athleticism is there are nearly an infinite number of challenges you could take on with your own body, your own mind, and your own spirit. My marathon example from earlier is a good one if you enjoy running. And it doesn't have to be a marathon. There are clients that I've worked with that a 5K or a 10K is going to take about a year of work in order to make happen for them. And I've worked with clients who make my marathon look stupid, and they're seeking toward completing an ultra marathon, or even an Ironman triathlon, which is a bike, swim, and running is a marathon all by itself. Shout out to you people who can do 14 to 18 hours of activity. You're amazing, and a certain kind of crazy that I'm not ready for yet. Maybe for you, the hero's journey is getting serious about your body composition goals. Maybe you've always wanted to do a bikini or physique or bodybuilding competition. Don't expect those things to balance out your hormones for the long term, but they can be a hero's journey in and of themselves. And I promise if that challenge speaks to you, you'll learn something valuable along the way. For my part, I've become really interested in obstacle course races. About 8 years ago, I started pursuing the vision of competing on the American Ninja Warrior TV show. I thought it was a cool way to be the best of the best in a world of jacks of all trades. I still have that dream, and I believe I'll make some more progress on it someday soon. However, while we have young children, the time required to train for that and the risk of injury involved is not something I can take on right now. But in the meantime, I've set my sights in 2020 on crushing a Tough Mudder this year. A Tough Mudder is an 8 to 10 mile obstacle course race, with things like low crawls through the mud, rope climbs, hero walls, and muddy monkey bars. And this year, I'd love to butt myself up against that and see how I rate among other 30-year-olds. It'll push me, it'll challenge me, and it'll give me an arena to try something I've never tried before. It's like Ninja Warrior, just with a lot more running. I even have a client who's going to do it with me. Side note, if that sounds like a fun hero's journey for you, shoot me an email at coachal@definingdadbod.com, and I'll send you the details for the ones we're going to do. But athletic events and body composition are not the only ways that you can undertake a hero's journey this year. I just read about a guy who beat the world record in the Guinness Book of World Records for most pull-ups done in one day. The previous record was 2,100 pull-ups done in one day. And let me save you the math. That's 18 hours of pull-ups solid, averaging 3 pull-ups every 30 seconds. That doesn't sound hard until you do 1 hour of that, and then multiply that by 18 in your own head. The guy went through 12 pairs of gloves, and his hands were a bloody mess at the end of it all. But he beat the record by 150 pull-ups. And if that doesn't amaze you, then you didn't hear me right. So am I saying that if your workouts feel hollow, you should construct a pull-up bar and start cranking them out in your garage? No, not exactly. What I am saying, though, is that if you spend some time thinking about a limit that matters to you, you can decide that you're going to break that limit in 2020. It could be your mile time. It could be strength in your deadlift. It could be doing a pull-up when you've never done one before. Or maybe you need to learn how to swim. Or maybe you need to stop saying, yeah, I should try yoga, and just go do it already. I don't know what your hero's journey needs to be. And if you got me on the phone and tried to talk to me about it, I'd be kind of biased toward the marathon thing or hiking a 14er this year. But let me encourage you. If you feel like you're going through the motions, you're just maintaining your health and fitness, and you look at your life and you see that you have a little bandwidth to put some more light and inspiration into your workouts, then it's time to consider if a hero's journey in 2020 is right for you. Like Frodo in the Ring, Harry Potter in his orphan status, Neo in the Red Pill, Iron Man in a metal suit, or Braveheart in a run-in with a tyrant he couldn't stand any longer. Who knows what you're capable of? My guess is, if you train for it and butt up against something difficult this year, you'll find there's more to you than you thought. And you're not the only person who needs you to find that out. This has been Alex VanHouten with Defining Dad Bod. Until next time, guys, kick butt, take names. The free practical advice and conversations here remain unbought and unbiased thanks to the support of listeners just like you. For more information on how you can become a part of the inner circle of Defining Dad Bod, go to definingdadbod.com/inner circle.